Okay, so we know people are doing customer insights. Ugandan brands are doing this. We know what customer insights are, but why? Why are they important?
So, insights are becoming very important because at this point in time, brands have done everything. They have definitely lowered the prices. They've given the discounts. They've done everything. However, if you notice, giving a customer an experience is now the new space to compete in. So how are you going to compete in that space if you're not giving if you're not using the insights? So customer insights help us to improve the experience of the brands. I'm going to give an example. For example, at Datamine, when we noticed that most of the students were not comfortable coming to class physically, and we did some kind of survey. Kindly let us know, between online and physical classes, what do you prefer? And they were like, we want to stay online because some of us are probably in Malawi, some of us are in Kenya, some of us are in Arua, but we want to study. So that kind of insight, then we couldn't just come in and say, you know what, government has opened, let's go full blast and please come to class. We had to then bend over to make sure that we're serving our customer very well. So customer insights help you give a personalized experience. And I'll go back to Datamine. When, for example, when you have a student, the first thing you're going to do is you ask them, what's your life like? Do you have a family? Do you have, I always ask this, my students, how is your job? How is your family? How is how are your friends? That then helps us understand how this person can progress in learning. Because if you have all these things surrounding you, you have a new job, a newly wedded wife or husband, little kids, a boss who is tough, targets that are very high, and you want to do, let me say, four modules. I'll tell you, please sit down, humble yourself, and do maybe 2 or 1, because you will not handle. And it's not about, we don't go about making money. We go about giving our customer the experience of passing and understanding what they're going through their studying journey. Also, it helps us predict trends and plan for that organization. I'm going to give an example of the target. There's a very common case that happened with a target customer. So this girl was searching online. She went to certain sites and was looking at certain items. So one day she gets a postcard at home, a catalog at home, and the father receives that catalog. And when he opens, this catalog is made up of baby items, like things the father didn't add up. So he sues Target. He's like, you guys my teen daughter is being told the advertising is for Pampers, breast pumps, things to do with pregnancy. What is happening? So Target is like, you know what, from our study and insights, your daughter is pregnant. You can imagine this guy got to know about his daughter's pregnancy from a third party, a company. And that is when, of course, he sued for data protection and everything, but it showed what insights do. These guys were able to capture, and they knew even what trimester of the pregnancy she was in, because there are certain ways someone searches. First trimester, you're probably searching a certain thing to the last. So it helps us understand, predict trends, and then go for them. Same applies to COVID. Those brands that had that very fast mechanism were able to predict that, you know what, this thing is going to hit us, and they've shot and tried to protect their businesses. Brand development. When you look at brands, you cannot develop your brand without insights. Where are your customers? What are they doing? What tools do they use to listen to your message? What messages do they want? All that information can be captured from data insights. So you're able to know that my customers listen to a program on maybe, let me say Radio Simba in the morning. So I am going to be there. I'm going to advertise my product there. I'm going to speak this language. I'm going to advertise this kind of message because you're getting these insights. So it helps you develop your brand without wasting a lot of resources, throwing money everywhere and anywhere. So that is the beauty of insights.
I don't even know how I would be if I was a father and I found out from, carried for that my daughter is pregnant. I can't even imagine, but that's the beauty of marketing these days. That's the beauty of things like artificial intelligence. You go online, you just search up anything. I mean, I've been trying to buy a car of late. I've even a Subaru. I want to join those guys.
You want to join the big boys.
So I want to join the community, but when I was looking it up on before, Subaru. So I left that site. I went to Facebook. Guess what? All the ads Facebook is showing me now is of Subarus. Yeah. When I go to Be Forward, it's about $4,000 or $2,000 or so, around there. I go to Facebook, guys are selling Subarus at 10 million shillings. Selling Subarus at 15. Roughly almost the same range, because when I actually got into these Facebook groups to look at the prices, there was Subarus worth 35, worth 45. But I didn't understand why Facebook was not showing me these specific Subarus. Why was it showing me cheap ones? Then I realized it's because when I was looking it up, I was actually looking for a cheap one. And I was amazed at how AI is simply just doing it just like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And these are Facebook group posts. It's not even they're not even paid posts.
Yeah.
Of course, I've seen the other. I actually now know every brand that imports cars in Uganda just because I googled it once. Yeah. So I get where you're coming from when you say insights are actually important. So now, back to the issue of insights during COVID-19. Yeah. I want to know, how have these trends changed? How have insights changed? Yeah. Because we were locked down for 2 years. 2 very good years. Yeah. I can't even. It's so vivid that the day it happened is so clear to me. The day the lockdown came down on us in Uganda. Yeah. I was having a time of my life. 9 p.m. the news comes on. They've identified the first case of COVID-19 in Uganda. What does that mean? We are now in lockdown. I wasn't even in Kampala. And the president is here saying, where you want to stuck. I'm like, what? Stuck in center. Who are you? And this is about 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So immediately I got to find out. I moved. Midnight, I was back in my house. I was like, you know what? I've seen the insights. It's going to be terrible. I've seen the insights. So how has it? What has been the change? Because you work with more than one brand,
yes.
So you've experienced how things were before, during, and after. Yeah. So how are the customer insights right now amidst the COVID-19 pandemic?
Thank you, Faisal. So we should say that COVID-19 did not only affect health; it affected everything. And when it came to customer experience, it killed some businesses, but can I say, some businesses thrived in that period because of the experience they were giving their customers. So you're going to find that today, organizations are rethinking their customer journey. How am I going to be able to meet the customer at whatever time, at whatever point where they are? So the trends have been, we've seen a very drastic move to technology. People who are not in tech are now in tech. We had people call in the bank. People called us, I want my mobile banking right now. Yet before you would be pleading, please log on. Please, can you please join mobile banking? Or at least use internet banking. Now they were calling us. Give it to me today, right now. And imagine at that time, you're using less, can I say, resources, because some people are sick. So you have like one person, can I start at the customer care desk, or one person in the contact center, and they needed to be served. So we saw a trend where people went digital. We saw a trend where e-commerce grew. I believe companies like Jumia made a killing. That was their time that was the time of their lifetime. So, and in this e-commerce, we've seen that the people who are buying more are surprisingly, Between 16 24, those are more online, plus that 35 to 44. Now there's a gap of 25 to 35. Those, I think, are a bit conservative with their money. They've learned the hard way. So they are very tech savvy, and they know what could happen online. So those, yes, they are there, but they're not so fully there. We've seen people 50 to 75 mothers who used to say, those technologies, I don't want to know. They are now getting online. They are the ones to go to Jumia and buy maybe rice, or please log on for me, my digital, or something like that. So we've seen a trend of a different age, and that is especially those old guys. They're now moving online, and they're not about to go back because they've found safety in that space. Then we see during that time, more than half the world got online, especially on social media. In Uganda alone, we saw an increase of 1.5 million users on social media. Social media has been, can I say, we've been having a very slow growth in adapting technology as Uganda, but during this period, many people got on board. We've seen the growth of Instagram, TikTok. People now want to watch the experience. They no longer want to just read. So brands now have to move towards creating content that is very engaging in that format, maybe fun, interesting, and entertaining. It's no longer about reading your company background, those boring stuff. People have moved past that. Then customers' expectations shot the roof. People wanted things faster, despite the fact that they knew there was COVID. Like I told you, someone says, I want it today. They did not want to know what you're going through, whether you have staff or not. So then we saw an increase of queries and volumes coming through online, because before people would walk to the bank or they would keep quiet. But when you don't have a face or there, you can make a lot of noise. It's easier to make noise behind the curtain. So there were many queries. We saw convenience coming through. We've seen customers are more frustrated of recent. They want things done very fast. So as a brand, how then do you place yourself in that space to make sure that you're meeting that customer's need in that time? Then we saw that customers are going for organizations that treat their employees well. It's no longer about, I don't care whether they eat or feed. They want brands that are very socially compatible to the society, that are giving. They don't want brands that are selfish. I think you saw when our president put up a donation line, people were just, and then when some brands gave a certain thing, other people are like, no, you've not given enough. How can you give such a thing? So people are now more into brands that are giving. So we see, like, for example, Amazon had a Black Friday strike because employees were saying the safety measures were bad. They were not treated well. They were not being paid well. One of the employees said, if Amazon just paid $650 to every employee, they would still be richer, as rich as they were before COVID-19, because they made a lot of money during that time. So we also saw some CEOs taking pay cuts. They're like, you know what, guys, we're not doing well. There's a CEO of Marriott, the Marriott Hotels, group CEO. He took a pay cut plus his executives. He was like, you know what? That then spoke volumes to people. Like, people are like, wow. Because he didn't want to fire staff, but he wanted people to continue working. Remember, hotel business was not making money. So that spoke volumes to the world. It won this brand a lot of, confidence and everything. Also, lastly, customers are looking for brands that really, really care. Not just coming in to tell us, hey, you're marketing your thing, but you're showing that you're caring. They want brands that care. That's why you see brands like Airbnb. They came in and when they came in, they offered like housing to the front staff, those guys, the medics. Free housing was given to them to be nearer their workplaces. Even in Uganda, with so many brands coming in to just give that kind of support. There's a company in the UK that offered in the US that offered free storage to all university students, because it's just in just one day they woke up and they were like, you know what, go home. Students didn't have where to store their things, they didn't have transport, so they said, you know what, we're giving you free storage, go home, you'll come back and then have your things safe. So that's what people are looking at when it comes to customer insights.